Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Gopinatha, Radha Gopinatha Radhe, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jayam Vishnupada Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatat Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace Abhay Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Se Kaho Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki, the Lordship Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Ki, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki, Itai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishtaya Rupale Srimate Bhakti Swami Namne. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishtaya Rupale Srimate Bhakti Swami Namne. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauragani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shinivadi Paschati Deshakarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Canto 3, Chapter 3, text number 15. Mitho yadaisam bhavita vivado madhva madata amrita vilochanana naisham vadhopaya iyanatonyo Mai udyate antardathete swayam sma Mitho yadaisham bhavita vivado madhva madatam rivalochananam naisham vadhopaya iyanatonyo mai udhyate antardhate svayam sva. Mitho yadaisha bhavita vivado madhuam madatam ravilochananam naisham vadhopaya iyanatonyo mai udyate tantardhate svayam sva. Mitho yadaisha bhavita vivado madhva madatam ravilochananam naisham vadhopaya iyanatonyo mai udyate antardadate svayam sma. Matajis. Toyesa avita vivado madhva madatam ravilochanana naisham vadhopaya iyanatonyo mai udhyate antardadate svayam. Mithaha, one another, yada, when, isham, of them, bhavita, will take place, vivadaha, quarrel, madhu amada, intoxication by drinking, atamra vilochananam, of their eyes being copper red, na, not, isham, of them, vadha upayaha, means of disappearance, iyan, like this, ataha, besides this, anyaha, alternative, mai, on my, udyate, disappearance, antaha dadate, will disappear, svayam, themselves, sma, certainly. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper, because of drinking madhu, then only will they disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. Purport. The Lord and His associates appear and disappear by the will of the Lord. They are not subjected to the laws of material nature. No one was able to kill the family of the Lord, nor was there any possibility of their natural death by the laws of nature. The only means, therefore, for their disappearance was to make show of a fight amongst themselves, as if brawling in intoxication due to drinking. That so-called fighting would also take place by the will of the Lord, otherwise there would be no cause for their fighting. Just as Arjun was made to be illusioned by family affection, and thus the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, so the Yadu dynasty was made to be intoxicated by the will of the Lord, and nothing more. The devotees and associates of the Lord are completely surrendered souls. Thus they are transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord and can be used in any way the Lord desires. The pure devotees also enjoy such pastimes of the Lord because they want to see Him happy. Devotees of the Lord never assert independent individuality. On the contrary, they utilize their individuality in pursuit of the desires of the Lord. And this cooperation of the devotees with the Lord makes a perfect scene of the Lord's pastimes. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I would like to request the blessings of all the Vaishnavas gathered here so I can speak something in line with what our acharyas have taught. So today's verse is Uddhava still continuing to narrate the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and in this verse, and I believe the verse before, he is speaking as if the Lord was speaking. So he's speaking the mind of the Lord, you can say. That the Lord was thinking like this, that only if they quarrel amongst themselves when they're intoxicated, they will disappear. Otherwise, my own family will never be vanquished. And when Kali Yuga comes, my family will be the hardest to dislodge. And in fact, they'll become the demons that we are trying not to have, for which I have invented, so to speak. So today I wanted to spend some time discussing specific examples, how Krishna directly played his role in making sure that all the Kshatriyas, especially the Kuru dynasty and the powerful Kshatriyas, were destroyed. And then I want to spend some time just describing the disappearance pastimes of the Lord, because they're also interesting. And if we still have time left after that, I want to spend some time talking about how the associates of the Lord are completely surrendered to the will of the Lord and His plans, and therefore how we can apply that in our own lives. So, the three stories I want to discuss with regards to this are when Krishna protects Arjuna from Bhishma, when Krishna protects Arjuna from Jayadratha, when Krishna protects Bhima from Duryodhana, and then we'll go to Gandhari's curse and all of that. We'll discuss all the cool stuff. So when the Kurukshetra war had begun, after a couple of days of battle, Duryodhana actually went up to Bhishma Dev saying that because you are their grandfather and you're very affectionate to them, you're purposely not going hard enough in trying to kill them. And Bhishma was quite offended almost by Duryodhana's words, saying, I have pledged my life to you, how can you accuse me of not going hard? So there, Bhishma takes out 5 arrows from his quiver, and he says, look at these 5 arrows. And he chants special mantras. And he says, now that these arrows are empowered, if I shoot these arrows, and each one is meant for one of the 5 Pandavas, they will not survive. And so Duryodhana, like this, was very happy. But of course, although Krishna was not himself fighting in the Kurukshetra war, he was in the camp of the Pandavas, and he knows everything that's happening. So he tells Arjun, remember that boon you had? Which boon? So now Krishna is talking about a boon. I would like to tell that story as well, because it is quite interesting. And when the Pandavas were still in exile, they were in the forest that was near Hastinapur, And at that time, Yudhishthira Maharaj was performing a sacrifice for the well-being of the universe or something. And at that time, when Duryodhana realized that, hey, the Pandavas are here in the forest, let's try and make them jealous of how much army and opulence and wealth that we have and how happy we are living in the palace. So he organizes a massive procession and almost like a party that, they bring all their armies, they bring all their women and food and everything, and they're all going, and they're across the river from where the Pandavas, so the Pandavas are performing the sacrifice here, it's just the 5 of them and a Brahmana, and then there's a river, and then here is all the Kurus, the massive array of Kurus. At that time, there's a Gandharva who actually owns or is supposed to take care of that forest, so he sees that, and of course, he doesn't appreciate what Duryodhana's doing, so he comes there and he says that, hey, this is my forest, you've come here without my permission, therefore you're not allowed to enjoy here. So Duryodhana doesn't care for any Gandharva because he's Duryodhana. So he says, no, we're going to enjoy here no matter what you say. So the Gandharva challenges them to a fight. And it so happens the Gandharva was so good at fighting that he completely vanquishes Duryodhana's army and he captures Duryodhana, he binds him up. And while this is happening, the Pandavas are watching and they're saying, Yudhishthira Maharaj, look, that's happening there. And Yudhishthira Maharaj says, you should go and help them. This is not right that this is happening. But Arjuna and Bhima say that, but they're here to literally spite us. Why should we help them out now? It's their misfortune that this is happening to them. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, because he's a very righteous king, he says, no, you must go and help them. So after their armies are all destroyed and Duryodhana is captured, Arjuna goes there and says, you must give my brothers, you must give my cousins back to us. You can't capture them like that. And the Gandharva says, well, they're here, we know what they were doing, I'm not going to release them. They came to my forest and they're suffering the consequences of what they chose to do. And Arjuna said, no, I'm not going to back out. If you don't give them back to me, I will fight you. So the Gandharva decides to fight Arjuna and Arjuna wins. And thereby he frees Duryodhana. So although Duryodhana, how shameful would it be for a proud person to be bound and then unbound by the very person that he was trying to shame earlier. So when he experiences that, because this is the code of conduct for Kshatriyas, if someone helps you out in this way, Duryodhana says to Arjuna, okay, I will give you a boon. You can ask of me whatever you want. So Arjuna thinks about it, and Arjuna says, well, I don't want anything right now, but I'll keep this in mind and I'll ask you when I need something. So Duryodhana says, okay. So now when this thing happens in the battle, when Bhishma's got those 5 arrows that are for sure going to kill Arjuna and all the other Pandavas, Krishna reminds him, hey, remember that boon? Now I want you to go to Duryodhana's camp and ask him for that boon. So Arjuna goes there and he says, I have a favor to ask you. Remember the boon you gave me? And Duryodhana says, yes. And I'm not sure if Bhishma tells Duryodhana that he's got these 5 arrows. So Duryodhana's just unaware that Bhishma's got these 5 arrows. I'm not sure about that part. But he tells Duryodhana that... Sorry? Right, okay. So Duryodhana didn't trust Bhishma, so he took them from Bhishma, so they were in his company. And then when Arjuna goes and asks him to give him the 5 arrows, at that time Bhishma wonders that, hey, Krishna's on their side and Krishna's orchestrating everything. So that is one pastime. And then of course, later on in the battle, Jayadratha and I think there's 12 Maharathas, they sort of surround Abhimanyu, who is the son of Arjuna. And Abhimanyu, although he knows how to enter the Chakravyuha battle formation, he doesn't know how to escape it because Draupadi falls asleep, I think. I don't know which. Subhadra falls asleep. Subhadra falls asleep when the narration of how to escape it is being spoken. So he enters it and obviously he's killed unfairly. When Abhimanyu is killed, Arjuna at that night takes a vow that before sunset tomorrow I'm going to go and kill Jayadratha. So when he proceeds to do that, he actually creates absolute havoc on the battlefield. He's literally nearly destroyed an entire Akshahuni in one day, an entire unit of armies by himself in one day. They say that Arjuna created a pathway of destruction, and Bhima and all the others were able to follow through that path of destruction. That's how heavy it was. But still, when he was doing that, he realized that Jayadratha was guarded so well that by the time the sun sets, which is nearly setting, he won't be able to get there, and then he'll have to, kill himself because he wasn't able to fulfill his vow. And Krishna, seeing this, he creates a trick. And actually, if you read the Krishna Dharma book, the yellow one, the chapter is called Krishna Protects His Devotee. It's really cool. When Krishna sees that the sun is about to set and Arjun's not going to make it, he takes his Sudarshan Chakra and he fires it into the sky, covering the sun. Everyone thinks that it's sunset, so they drop their weapons, they stop going on with their chariots, and Arjun uses this time to go around and get to Jayadratha. So in this way, once he's able to kill Jayadratha, Krishna, you can see, has protected his devotee and actually gone on to make sure that the Kurus are all killed. And then the last incident, which happens after nearly the war is finished, when it's just Bhima and Duryodhana who are supposed to fight. And before their fight is supposed to take place, Gandhari, who is Duryodhana's mum, she was such a great ascetic, like she had such great yogic power, that she came to Duryodhana and she said, tomorrow before your battle, just come and see me, but don't be wearing anything. Because she had this power where if she looks at a person wherever she wants to, then that part cannot be destroyed. So the next morning when Duryodhana is approaching his mother in this way, he runs into Krishna. And Krishna says, hey, what are you doing? You're an honorable man. You should at least wear a loincloth before you go. So he wears that. And then when Gandhari looks at him, she says that, okay, well, everything's protected except your thighs. So, and that's how Duryodhana actually gets killed. If you read the verse previous to this, it is, I think a couple of verses before this, it is said that Bhima breaks the thighs of Duryodhana, and that's how he actually dies. So again, we see Krishna very regularly plays a very big hand in trying to ensure that all the Kurus are actually killed. So in this way, after the battle, and Gandhari actually realizes when Duryodhana tells him that, well, Krishna ran into me, told me to just wear this mini dhoti or whatever. And when after the war is finished and the Pandavas go back to Hastinapur and to meet Dhritarashtra and Gandhari looks at Krishna and she says that you are the Supreme Lord. It is by your desire that you've orchestrated all of this, and my sons are all dead now. But in order to achieve your cause, you didn't have to do things in this way, but you made sure that you did. So therefore, in the same way that I had to suffer by watching my kinsmen die, I curse you that you also have to suffer in the same way. And it's really interesting. Normally when people get cursed, they're sort of, horrified. But Krishna looks at her and he just thanks her, saying that I was actually trying to think of a way of how my own family will leave this earth, but thank you for cursing me because I will use this curse to, make things happen. There's also another incident. If we must look at Krishna and the Yadu's disappearance from this world as destiny, there is another incident that happens a while ago that contributes to it. But after the battle, the Pandavas have now been in power for around 36 years or so, and everything's well. But Yudhishthira Maharaj tells Arjuna that, it's been 36 years. According to what we know, the time for Krishna's disappearance is close by. So can you please go to Dwarka and invite Krishna over one more time so that we get to have his association? So Arjuna goes and he doesn't return for months. And while he's away, towards the end, Yudhishthira Maharaj starts to notice signs of bad omens. He starts to see that, when the sun is rising, the jackals are howling. And there's sounds of men running, but when he looks around, there is no one running. People are disrespecting the Brahmanas. People are cheating each other. They're quarreling with each other. And he says to Bhima, this doesn't look good. These are signs of bad things happening. So slowly, after some time when Arjuna returns, when he sees Yudhishthira Maharaj, he just breaks down and he starts crying. And Yudhishthira Maharaj says, well, what happened? Why are you like this? And Arjuna says that Krishna who we treated as an equal, the one we used to play with, who would joke with us, he is not in this world anymore. And Yudhishthira Maharaj says, no, please tell us more. Actually, what Arjuna says is really sweet. He says that sometimes we would forget that he's the Supreme Lord, and that